yes, here we go. And a very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. 24th day of October, 2019. She's first again this morning. There she goes, there she goes. My dear friends, I'm George Grant saying welcome to the Thursday edition of Good Day Grenada. Pre-Thanksgiving edition, if you will. It's nice to see that you guys are there already this morning. I see that Sharon's there and Anthea. Hazel is first again this morning, but closely followed by Sharon and Anthea. And I'm sure the rest of the gang will be sauntering in very shortly. My dear friends, another beautiful day in the Spice Isle and one to be thankful for. Not just today, but you know, the way the week has gone so far, yeah? Not everything you wanted may have happened the way you wanted it to, but you're still around. Have a roof over your head, got some food on the table, yeah? And you've got the breath of life. A lot to be thankful for. This morning, I'm going to start with not very positive news. Well, maybe it depends on how you look at it, but the water supply, at least here in the St. George's area, is about to be interrupted today, okay? Nawassa is having some issues, and we're going to share that with you in just a few minutes. And then, you know, as a race, I think a lot of black people feel that we're the only ones who are discriminated against. Huh? Joke you're making. No, sir. I'm going to show you a very short video this morning which shows just what some Indians have to go through. I'm going to share that with you in a wee bit. Now, Mr. Bierzynski should be with us Thursday morning. Haven't heard from him, but haven't heard to the contrary. So I do expect that he will be joining us. And I like to try and get Allan on early because even in his retirement, the man's a busybody, running here, there, and everywhere. So we're going to try and get him in and out of here as soon as possible. And we'll leave the national report for last this morning. That's okay with you? Good. I thought it would be. I thought it would be. Mickerman Alexander is saying hi to you guys, and so is Kipling, and Fitzroy, and Bernard, and Benedict, and Joe's, John. He's waiting for AB. Yeah, big fan of AB. Now, the National Water and Sewage Authority, NWASA, is advising that it will institute a system shutdown at the Annandale Water Treatment Plant today, Thursday, October 24th, in an effort to address current water challenges. The Annandale Water Treatment Plant is NWASA's largest water facility, producing an average of 2.5 million gallons of water per day, serving, on average, about 57,000 customers, including you and moi, stretched from Annandale through to Point Celine. The treatment plant is supplied by 3 transmission lines from the dam. On Thursday, October 27th, NWASA's distribution network from the Annandale Dam to the treatment plant was severely damaged during a rainfall event. It is the first time in the history of the plant's existence that all 3 transmission lines supplying the plant were rendered inoperable at the same time. 2 of these lines were broken away and transported downriver. The third, while not dislodged, was blocked by debris. On Thursday, October 17th, and Friday, October 18th, teams responded but were unable to effect any significant repairs due to the condition of the river. On Saturday, October 20th, One of the dislodged lines was repaired and restored to service. The other dislodged line was repaired and restored to service on Sunday, October 21st. These two transmission lines are only able to supply the plant with about 75% of its production capacity. This is the main reason for the interruption in supply during the course of this week. Okay? Now you understand. The third transmission line, which is blocked, must be restored to enable the plant to get back to its normal production and provide persons with their regular supply. To unblock this line, it requires the dam to be emptied to address the problem from that end. As a result, the Annandale Dam will be drained on Thursday, October 24th. That is today, weather permitting. And weather looks pretty good out there this morning. Consumers in low-lying communities such as Annandale through to Tempe may experience low water pressure starting at 8 o'clock this morning, so that may already be in effect. And that should continue until 12 a.m. on Friday. That's midnight. Midnight tonight, okay? However, consumers served by the Woburn distribution system, serving Woburn through to the entire south of the island, will have their water supply interrupted. NOASA advises all consumers, both domestic and commercial, to ensure that their storage facilities are filled to last a minimum of 3 days. Storage must reflect 35 gallons of water per person per day. The team will be working to have the supply back to normal by the weekend. The National Water and Sewage Authority apologizes to all affected consumers for the inconveniences caused, and they thank consumers, you and moi, for our patience as they work towards the delivery of a safe, adequate, and reliable water supply. All right? Okay, that's a little note which came in last night from NOASA, and thought we needed to share that with you first thing this morning. I went out there and filled up a number of things last night, and so I'm good to go. I'm just not going to be swimming. Not that I have a pool, but you understand. Okay, let me see here. Michelle Forsythe is saying good morning to you guys, and Oswin Lewis and Lawrence Kruthoff, John Bruno, and John Nosyneck says, is this the result of a bad design or poor maintenance? I don't know which it is, but I do know that we had some really, really inclement weather here a few days ago. So I'm not too surprised that they're having an issue. I'm really not too surprised, and I wouldn't be prepared to jump the gun and speculate as to what is happening. Lydia James is also joining us. Kipling is asking, can someone explain how they arrive at 35 gallons per person per day? That's amazing. Whoa. Well, I'm sure they have their formulae for arriving at those figures. I would suggest that you contact NOASA. They may be, I'm sure they'd be willing to explain to you. Now, my dear friends, I told you about discrimination a little while ago. Yeah, like I mentioned at the top of the program, a lot of blacks think we're the only people. No, we're not. Check this out.
My son was attacked, even though he's the second generation. He was attacked and he was called a Paki. Now you tell me, how does a person take a Paki? what do we say? Is that a name? Packy? What is it? I'm not a Packy. He's not a Packy. We're human beings that are being labelled. Why do we have labels? I'm from a Sikh faith. Many of you are from Muslim faiths as well, but we are faiths. We haven't got a label, Packy. And my son said, Mum, what do I do? I work for security. Do I walk around and say, no, I am not a Packy, I am a Sikh? I said, no, son, you are a human being. And the other thing, white supremacy. That's how we feel. I was born in this country. My father served in this country. But it is white supremacy that is dividing everybody. I don't like being called a wog. I'm a human being. I went to school, I used to be called curry face. Is that a name? That's disgraceful. I don't like it. No. We have to abolish all this race hate, colour hate. You and I, everyone here, has the same amount of bones, same amount of blood. You take my skin off and we're exactly the same. Where has racism come from?
All right, there you have it. There you have, kind of sad, isn't it? Kind of sad. Do you know, wouldn't it be nice to wake up one morning and just realize that you're living in a world without discrimination, where people just love each other? Do you know what? Call me nuts if you will, but I firmly believe that there is a day coming when that will happen. I'm not saying in my lifetime, but I do believe that I will live in such a world eventually. Okay, getting back here to social media, Francis Anslem says, Grenada, thanks for the info. Big station. Big station. Not sure what you're referring to, but since you got it here, I imagine that you're referring to us as a big station. Boy, we ain't no big station, no big station. We're just a teeny weeny little speck. Little mixer here, little iPad there, you know, but we're getting by. We're able to provide you with a service, and we gotta be thankful for that. Jean Julian says, shame. I guess she's referring to that video we saw a little while ago about the discrimination against Indians. Ryan is saying good morning, and Sharon says, shameful, but this discrimination is everywhere. Absolutely, girl, not just, and by the way, that's not here. I'm not even sure where that took place, but it's all over the world. It's just part of the world we live in. But Sharon, you and I know that's going to change. John says, Paki is derogatory street talk for Pakistani, like the N-word, which I find repulsive. Absolutely, John, absolutely. And you know something? You know, Sharon mentioned this is all over the world, and I hope she was referring to Grenada as well, because let me tell you, for anybody who thinks that discrimination does not, racial discrimination does not exist in Grenada, take your head out of the sand, my dear friends. Moi, born and raised from black parentage in that little hospital along the road there, I've been through that myself. Moi. Okay, Kipling says racism will never be abolished It's one of the tools used by politicians to continue to brainwash the uninformed. Okay, thank you, Kipling. Sharon says, so true. Okay, break time, and then I see that Mr. B is here, so stand by, and we'll get to him in just a wee bit.
In our part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Now, for electrical safety. Familiarize yourself with your electrical panel, as it may be necessary to switch off the power during a storm or flood. Make sure you install a transfer or isolation switch to prevent your generator feeding electricity to Grenlec's line. If trees are too close to power lines, call Grenlec at 237 for advice. By following these easy steps, you will be well on your way to being hurricane ready. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Coop Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair Supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Well, Arthur Langine has checked in from a chilly New York this morning. And Ryan Jaban is saying here that racism is socially engineered injustice, Grenada included. And John Nosy says, George, I have even had it here towards me. And John is in Carriacou. Good morning, Mr. Bierzynski. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm well. It's been a while.
It's been a while, and before you ask anything, yes, you're being heard loud and clear.
Thank you.
So what's up, sir?
I was reading an article this morning about a revelation, according to the article, though I don't know how old news can be revealing at this point in time. But the spending of corrupt super rich has been revealed according to a new report by Transparency International, the anti-corruption campaign group. Transparency found that more than 300 billion pounds, that's billion, of suspect funds have been funneled through UK banks, law firms, and accountants. Remember the three: banks, law firms, and accountants. And this money was funneled through these entities before being spent on, I suppose, lifestyle equipment. I don't know. I for the life of me, cannot understand why somebody would spend $1 million on a Cartier diamond ring, except to prove that the money has no value whatever because it was procured through corrupt means. It gets worse. Another one of them, according to the report, spent £50,000 on a crocodile skin jacket with matching crocodile skin handbag from Harrods. I think there was a fellow called Paul Manafort who had an ostrich skin jacket. He's in jail now, I believe. One of the individuals whom President Trump doesn't know, despite him having worked as his campaign manager. Now, what are the origins of all of this suspect cash? According to Transparency, it often comes from corrupt officials' embezzlement of hundreds of millions of pounds from poor countries' state coffers. The emphasis being on poor countries where the systems of governance have broken down, or you have a strong man in charge who does not get opposition from those who surround him. I'm not obviously only speaking about the United States. Now, this suspect cash was also found to have been spent £200,000 on a Bentley Bentayga. Sounds familiar, this Bentley thing. Driven by the 22-year-old son of the former Prime Minister of Moldova, who thankfully is currently serving a sentence of 9 years in prison for his role in the theft of the century. Now, Moldova used to be known as the Moldavian Socialist Soviet Republic at one time. So many of these associated Soviet republics and Soviet republics, after the fall of communism, which, as you know, we had a significant role to play in that, after we reversed communism in 1983. And then 6 years later, the Berlin Wall fell. And as the historians have written, communism has been proven to be the grand failure of the 20th century. Unfortunately, you still have a couple of people here in Grenada who have not read history, and more importantly, have not understood the lessons to be drawn therefrom. But leave them where they are, because they're in high positions. Now, with regard to the forensic analysis undertaken by Transparency International, they looked at more than 400 cases of global bribery, corruption, and money laundering in 116 countries. And 582 firms or individuals in the United Kingdom had helped rich people bring suspect funds into the United Kingdom. These funds were brought in through 17,000 shell companies, 1,455 of which were registered at the same office above a wine bar in Birmingham. It's amazing what computing power can do for you. Having said that, in the center of money laundering in the Caribbean, not surprisingly, this takes place and continues to take place in British overseas territories such as the Cayman Islands and the British Virgin Islands. In fact, I seem to think that there was someone I knew who informed me that there must be something like 8,000 shell companies registered in Tortola. So anybody that you know who, or you may have heard of, who might keep deposits in Tortola, when in fact they are working in Grenada and they have a legal office in Grandance, you would be inclined to suspect that the reason they're keeping that money in Tortola is because the money was not legitimately obtained. Now, we've known for a long time, according to the Director of Policy at Transparency, that the UK's world-class services have attracted a range of clients who have money and pasts to hide. PASTS. With Google, it is difficult to continue to hide your past. But you need to have time and you need to have resources. And the director of policy says that all of this should be a wake-up call for government and regulators and deliver much-needed reforms to the UK defences against dirty money. Okay, so if the UK is strengthening their defences, what do you think will happen to these corrupt individuals and their money that needs to be laundered? Naturally, as we have seen, they may go to jurisdictions where the capacity to exercise due diligence is suspect in itself. And I think it is fairly clear that one of the vehicles for the transfer of funds by individuals who are super rich and may not have pasts that they wish to be publicized are able to purchase through various agents and agencies citizenship by investment. You saw that coming, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
So, as I think I've said before, once in a 60 Minutes TV interview, I saw Dr. Christian Kalin, the head of Henley and Partners, explaining that in his view, in the same manner that wealthy people have multiple credit cards, they ought to be able to have multiple passports. And that has stuck with me, because I can only think that a wealthy individual who has enough money to buy a private plane and a super yacht and to bribe university officials for admission of their children into high-class educational institutions. By the way, they just drop in the class of those institutions by letting in rich, dunce people. But nevertheless, they have to continue to operate. By the way, almost £3 million was funneled to private schools, including Charterhouse, Harrow, and Lancing College. I've only heard of Harrow. I think there was Harrow and Eton, where the British upper class went to be educated, in quotation marks. But it was really to reinforce the segregation of the British super elite from the rest of British society. That is why, of course, Boris Johnson is known as a posh boy. Nevertheless, the educational institutions were in fact linked to the Troika laundromat scheme. Now, the Troika laundromat scheme, you can Google it, is where these Russian oligarchs conspired to move £3.5 billion out of Russia. Roman Abramovich, the owner of Chelsea Football Club, was last year, I think, refused the renewal of his residence visa in the United Kingdom. And I believe probably because Russia is not particularly welcoming to him, he has taken up residence in Israel. They need the money, obviously. Now, British universities have received a lot of money from these shell companies with bank accounts at institutions which have since closed due to mismanagement and money laundering failings. Earlier this year, the National Crime Agency in London seized £25,000 of suspect cash from a niece of the Syrian ruler Bashar al-Assad. You remember him? Several members of her family are subject to international sanctions. Now, they seized £25,000 of suspect cash. Good. I am glad to see that locally. It has been announced that the authorities will be looking into Susuan. Apparently, some large deposits have been turning up at local financial institutions, and the source of funds declaration generally says I get my susu hand. So I would think on the face of it that qualifies as suspect cash. It only gets worse, because the reality is that in the Cayman Islands, in Malta, in Turkey, large sums of cash are paid into bank accounts. The HSBC Bank, what used to be Hong Kong and China, Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank of China. It was too long, so they changed it to HSBC. They have an awful reputation with regard to money laundering. The Bank of New York, likewise, was found to have been deeply involved in laundering Russian mob money. Not surprisingly, the Bank of New York is where a certain prominent real estate developer managed to obtain funding from Deutsche Bank, and with the alleged assistance of a wide network of corrupt people, including in the Ukraine, managed to have influenced the outcome of the 2016 election. But no doubt we'll be seeing more of that later. I want to conclude by saying that, and I'm quoting here from Transparency, despite the dedication of many committed professionals in the fight against corruption, there remains too much poor practice to be able to assume bad behavior is confined to a few rotten apples. Businesses and governments should redouble their efforts through resource and will. My emphasis here, and will, to remove the helping hand for those who have abused positions of power and stolen from their people. With regard to will, we have a division in a ministry somewhere for international business. It seems to me that there is an insufficient separation between this division of international business and a legal practice which is engaged in the CBI program. Enough said. Done.
Okay, Mr. Bierzynski, I'll tell you in a minute why I'm laughing here, but there are a couple of comments. First of all, Jean Pascal wants to know, she says you did very interesting research. She's complimenting you on your research, being able to put out all that information you just did.
Actually, look, to be fair, this is not research. This is what is available in the press, in the international press. We can read it, all of us. This is from the Guardian newspaper in the United Kingdom this morning.
Which is available online.
Yep.
Okay, and Ryan is asking, do you think there is money laundering in Grenada? Huh?
Well, apparently there must be, since the authorities say that they are now checking on the size of people's susu hand.
You noticed? You noticed? Right? Just in case you're wondering why I've been sitting here smiling, I'm listening to you pronounce the names of people in that little piece that you just did. And I remember the living hell that I went through on Sunday, reading an editorial from the New Today, in which reference was made to the fact that Grenada is now establishing diplomatic relations with Uzbekistan. Did you hear that?
Uzbekistan, was it?
Yeah, Uzbekistan. Whoever is
one of the most corrupt and dictatorial regimes in the world.
Well, let me tell you, the editor did a number by making mention of a lot of the names affiliated or associated with that country. And Allan, I would have done anything to have you read that editorial. When I was finished reading that editorial, I was just about dripping wet. The names I just couldn't pronounce. So I got to confess, I faked them. All right, Mr. B. We still have about 10 minutes left, but I want to throw a couple of things at you. You heard that the Prime Minister has met with healthcare workers at the hospital. I guess you saw that in the news last night?
Yes.
Okay. And he's urging the workers to call out the characters in the system. You know, he's praising the workers in the healthcare system, but he's admitting that there's some, my words, bad eggs. And he's calling on the good workers to call these people out. Now, he says the management system in the healthcare system must be changed. And one particular portion of a paragraph jumped out at me, which I'm going to throw at you right now, sir. And I want you to contain yourself and try and give me a reaction. I think it's about 2 sentences long. Dr. Mitchell also cited the need for a change in the management structure of the health sector. He said, "It is clear that the management system must be changed." Underline that. When there are problems, the first place to look is at the top. The Prime Minister and head of government, when something goes wrong, I look at myself first. I hope you're absorbing all of this, Mr. Bierzynski. Persons have a tendency to blame everybody else. We will not make improvements if we do not look at ourselves critically and consider what more can be done to make the situation better. Unquote, Mr. Bierzynski.
I've heard all of this before. I think it was a year ago that the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health both sat down and they lambasted hospital workers for thieving chicken. And there was supposed to have been an inquiry going on. And the Minister of Health at the time, I believe, confirmed that there was a police investigation going on or reports had been received. I think subsequently the police said they didn't receive any reports. But nevertheless, the chicken appears to have flown the coop. But that was a long time ago. So in the interim, I seem to recall that a very highly recommended Grenadian national had been brought back from New York. No, I can't say brought back because the person was not going to be paid because the individual was a high net worth individual earning a lot of money in New York, and they were coming back here out of a sense of duty and patriotism. And this hospital administrator or director of hospital services, whatever it was, this was supposed to change everything. Now, frankly, we are in 2019. We've had the same maestros since 2013. So this is nothing new, except for the fact that some 40 plus nurses have likewise flown the coop because they can't get recognized and they can't get remunerated. But yet, at the same time, we are transforming this country through the CBI program. We have a National Transformation Fund. If you see the transformation down in True Blue, as a matter of fact, I see them pouring concrete, they flood lighting buildings that going up. I don't understand what happened to the planning authority in this place because frankly, you have 6 stories of a concrete block going up. They're pouring concrete at night. The place is floodlit. But my question is, where is the infrastructure to deal with the effluent, otherwise known as waste, otherwise known by a 4-letter word?
Yeah. AB, let me tell you, I've been speaking with a number of longtime residents down there in True Blue, and they are extremely concerned about what they see happening down there. Eh? So don't be too surprised if you see some fallout down the road. Anyhow, sticking with the issue here.
No. It wouldn't be fallout. It's the 4-letter word will hit the fan.
Yeah. Okay. Keep the straight face. Ann Thomas is asking about that piece I read about the Prime Minister. She's asking, well, they have to call the Prime Minister name out first. And John here is saying, did the nurses and doctors take their chance to call him out? You know, the Prime Minister is saying that, you know, you got to call out the people at the top. And John is wondering here whether or not the doctors and nurses had the guts to call out his thing.
Well, you see, I spent my working life in structured environments. And as I made progress through that structure, all of the training and mentoring that I received suggested, and this was bolstered by case studies, suggested that a true leader is able to delegate. And if everything that happens, the man at the top has to get involved, it means that there is no delegation. That is a recipe for disaster, because if all problems can only be analyzed and solved by one man, then why are we paying for 15 government ministers? They should be fired. And I don't mind if we pay the salary to the one man, because clearly the one man is worth it. And the rest of them should go home.
All right, I hope they're listening to you, sir. Lydia James says, I guess the situation turned gangrene, so it can't be healed. Anything that turned green is rotten. Okay, Mr. B.
I am not medically trained.
You're not medically trained. Mr. B, almost running out of...
Despite the accusation by some that I know everything about everything. But I will admit not to know everything about everything. I know a lot about plenty things, though.
Yeah, that's why we flock to this platform on Thursday mornings to listen to you. Mr. B, I got to ask you this. The recent judgment or penalty that was handed down for child sexual molestation, well, I guess you heard now that the Commissioner of Police has taken action. What's your take on this whole thing?
They have appealed. They have appealed the sentence. That is the limit of action that they can take. They have appealed the sentence.
But at least they got off their duffs and appealed it.
Yeah, well, fair enough. We'll see. But as Peter David wouldn't say, the matter is sub judice. He might say sub judice.
Mr. David can say whatever he wants.
So in other words, what I will caution you is don't go there.
No, sir. It's do go day. Try and get it right with your proper English, okay?
All right, do go there.
All right. How do you explain this this gentleman who was convicted? I mean, so easily escaping the country. Doesn't that say something about our security system in this place?
Hold on a second. He's a non-national. He pled guilty, paid a fine, and returned from whence he came.
To the United States.
As far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
What I am more interested in is if it is as alleged that he's a pastor, I would like to know which religious body he is affiliated with.
Yeah.
Because I want to know what kind of due diligence they did before they brought him into Grenada to let him loose on us. That is where a penalty should be applied. They should withdraw their tax-exempt status.
Another black eye on religion.
Talking about that. So now, I feel very sorry. I feel a lot of sympathy for a well-known local promoter who now has to go into further expense to try and recover his money from another Christian who was supposed to be appearing at a gospel concert here.
Right, yeah. Tasha Hobbs or Tasha Cobbs?
Interesting enough, Yeah, I don't know how accurate this is, but someone said to me that this is not the first time that particular artist has cancelled concerts, generally in a place where they feel we too small to institute action for recovery.
Was any reason given for the cancellation? Do you know?
The reports I heard said that no reason was given.
Ah, okay. Finally, Mr. Bierzynski, tomorrow happens to be Thanksgiving Day. Hold on a sec here. Lydia James says, he's not a gentleman, George, he's a monster. Gentlemen don't do such things. I guess they're talking about this gentleman who...
Madam, you would be surprised at what gentlemen do behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Don't put your head on a block for nobody.
Don't go there. Yeah. So, so tell us, Mr. B, in closing, how do you intend to celebrate Thanksgiving?
This is not a celebration, but an observation. As I said sometime earlier, that Grenada started the downfall of communism. They stumped their toe in Grenada, and eventually they had to break down the Berlin Wall. So I think we can take credit for starting the reversal of that alien, godless ideology subscribed to by Bernard Cord and the rest of that godless group of Central Committee people.
Okay, Mr. Bierzynski. Well, here is one that's going to give you something to ponder over your Thanksgiving weekend. Lawrence Kruthoff says, hi, Mr. B. Was your father a doctor at Maribel Hospital? If so, he operated on my throat. Did your father try to cut this man's throat or cut this man's throat?
Well, it must have been successful then. Not only was my father the doctor in residence at Mirabeau up until 1959, but I myself was born at that high-class medical institution. I actually drove by there. Well, you can't drive by, you have to go in.
Yeah.
About 3 weeks ago, we had some visitors here, and I wanted to show them my literal roots in the blogger stool behind the hospital.
Well, you know, there's such irony. You were born at Princess Alice?
Yes. Listen, in the colonial times, we had very good health services.
Mr. B, thanks to Princess...
You think we make progress? We don't make no progress.
Thanks to Princess Alice, I'm still here today. I mean, I grew up less than a mile away from that. Pardon me?
I make two of us then.
Right.
And we still.
But I was born at the Colony Hospital down here.
Uh-huh.
And when I was 2 weeks old, I went to live in La Bay, and you know, because of because of my illness, I used to suffer from asthma terribly as a kid. Spent a lot of time at Princess Alice Hospital. So we sort of crisscrossing, eh?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, Lydia says, can you remember when KCM brought a man here saying he is a prophet, and when he returned to the United States, he was arrested and charged for child molestation of boys?
I think he wasn't prophet. Somebody, Griffith, might have been his name. But I remember the incident, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. This is how politicians abuse their public trust by preying on the beliefs of the gullible, by bringing prophets and pastors and all sorts of, I was going to say fly by night, but I don't want to go there.
Don't go there. Quit while you're ahead, Mr. B. Thank you very much, Allan. You have a wonderful holiday tomorrow. Oh, by the way, let me use this opportunity to tell you folks, tomorrow, I'm not going to do the program. I'm not going to do Gudday Grenada tomorrow morning. If you don't mind, I'd like some time to lay back in my boudoir and reflect, on all the things we have to be thankful for in this country. Okay, so please excuse me. I'm not going to be with you tomorrow morning, but I will see you on Sunday morning. Mr. B, thank you very much, sir.
Righto. Bye now.
Okay. There he goes, Allan Bierzynski on a Thursday morning. Hey, nothing unusual. Yeah, wacky as ever. Pilgrims. Lydia says, yes, it was Prophet Griffith. Okay. Quick break here now, and then we shall return with, what is it we have? Oh, the National Report. How could I forget?
GRENADA Community Partnership Initiative, supporting health.
To the individuals who will be using these vehicles to serve the people, please ensure while we are using these tools that we use these tools in a manner that we will all be proud of. To GRENADA, a long-standing partner with us, a true testament of what can happen when private and public sector work together for the benefit of the people.
GRENADA, energizing our community.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Can I have a chicken lunch, please? Large.
Real nice today.
I don't want that.
But you just asked for a chicken lunch.
I don't have problem with the lunch. Afraid the container.
What is the problem with it?
These styrofoam containers, they don't good for the environment. They shorten with life.
What foolishness you telling me? So what you want me to use?
Put my food in this. Where you get that? At the food fair, where you could get all biodegradable food boxes and disposable food supplies like cups, plates, anything you could think about. Name it, it's there. And they don't harm the environment. Food fair, taking the lead in cleaning up and protecting the environment. Hey, like you take me advice, you get in your biodegradable food supplies.
Well, girl, I supporting who's supporting the environment. That is why I shop in at food fair.
Food fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets. Products distributed by Hubbard's agency, Kirani James Boulevard.
Prime Minister commends healthcare workers for ongoing sacrifices, but cites need for change in management structure. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Wednesday, October 23rd, I am Rakisha St. Louis. Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell has commended workers in the healthcare sector for their ongoing sacrifices. Engaging with workers Monday afternoon in a meeting at the General Hospital that lasted 2.5 hours, Dr. Mitchell applauded the general level of care delivered by health professionals and acknowledged the personal sacrifices made by many. He called on the workers to be their brother's keeper and call out colleagues who contribute to the negative public perception of healthcare in Grenada. Dr. Mitchell also cited the need for a change in the management structure of the health sector. The attrition of healthcare workers is one of the biggest problems facing the sector. It is estimated that about 45 persons have left the system since July 2018. The workers present had several recommendations on how to stem the departure of their colleagues, including increased remuneration, extending the contract period, upgrading equipment, and improving working conditions. The lack of equipment in some areas and the need to upgrade existing equipment were also major talking points. Dr. Mitchell reiterated the need for a collaborative approach to making improvements in the health sector, and he reaffirmed the government's commitment to working in partnership. The Attorney General's Chambers and the Ministry of Legal Affairs are considering an amendment to remove the oral preliminary inquiry for legal matters dealing with serious offences. Addressing the government's weekly post-cabinet briefing on Tuesday, Attorney General Dashan Ramdani pointed out that oral hearings can create a real opportunity for delay. The AG says they are also looking at amendments to remove corroboration requirements for young children. He says since the start of the year, the AG's chambers and the Legal Affairs Ministry made a conscious decision to continuously assess the current laws of the country, and those who have followed the changes will appreciate that many important aspects of the criminal laws were addressed.
In 2012, in answering public concern, Parliament increased those specific penalties to a maximum of 30 years imprisonment for defilement of a child under 13 years and 15 years maximum when the offense was committed against a child over 13 and less than 16. You will also recall that rape was another offense where the penalty was increased in 2012. Before 2012, rape was punishable by a maximum imprisonment of 15 years. In 2012, this was increased to a maximum of 30 years imprisonment. In fact, the 2012 amendment expanded the definition of rape to make it possible for a woman to also be guilty of such an offense.
Mr. Ramdani noted that prior to 2012, indecent assault was an indictable offense only, and there were no power vested in the magistrate to try such an offense. On trial in the High Court, it carried a maximum of 5 years imprisonment. However, in 2012, it was considered by stakeholders that indecent assault, having regard to various ways in which it could be committed in terms of seriousness, could be, in some instances, properly dealt with by a magistrate.
It was recognized that if a magistrate would be given such a power, many of these offenses would be dealt with in a very expeditious manner, rather than last several years through the court process, thereby saving children and victims of having to go through the trauma of being in the courtrooms for such a lengthy period. I'm not at all suggesting that in some cases that it doesn't deserve going to the High Court. Now, while efforts were being taken to reduce trial times over the years, Parliament has given this new jurisdiction. Now, indecent assault can be tried summarily, punishable by the same maximum of 5 years that a judge could have once given for the offense.
This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
Grenada, it's coming as the Ministry of Youth, Development, Sports, Culture and the Arts brings to you National Youth Week 2019, and it's one full week of activities, vibes and action as the nation turns their attention on the nation's youth. And it's from Saturday, October 19 till Saturday, November 2nd under the theme Embracing Opportunities, Sowing Higher. October 19th and 20th, National Community Service Weekend, island-wide. October 26th, Health Walk and Ministers Address. October 28th, Youth Vibe. October 29th, St. John's Youth Parliament. October 30th, Job Fair and Career Day. October 31st, Fun Nights. November 1st, Discovering Talents and Expo. November 2nd, it's National Youth Awards. Sunday, November 3rd, Ecumenical Service and Peace Concert. So urging everyone to be a part of Youth Week 2019, October 19th to November 2nd.
Welcome back. The Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority is working with the Ministry of Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs to rehabilitate the Dumfries landfill. For years, residents have complained about the stench and the health hazards posed by the area. Minister for Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs Honorable Kendra Mathurin Stewart says the Solid Waste Management Authority is working with the ministry to clear, clean and fence off the landfill. She says a policy will be developed for the new disposal site at the completion of rehabilitation in February 2020.
The first phase is the debushing of the landfill and the removal of the metal waste therefrom. I can tell you now that is ongoing. At present, an area is cleared for stockpiling of those materials, which will be crushed and, of course, buried. The second phase involves the restructuring of the landfill and, of course, the construction of berms. With the third phase, we will see the fencing of the perimeter of the landfill, and the fourth phase will be to implement and communicate our new disposal policy as it relates to the landfill.
Minister Mathurin Stewart is optimistic that upon completion, residents will be able to breathe and live comfortably.
The persons in the neighboring villages have complained for years about the infestation of rats, of flies and other insects, and so I'm very happy that this is a project that have started, and very soon the people in that particular area and the entire people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique will be relieved of that embarrassing situation.
That story just ended the national report for today, Wednesday, October 23rd. Let's recap the top story. Prime Minister commends healthcare workers for ongoing sacrifices, but cites need for change in management structure. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Alrighty, folks, there you have it. That's last night's edition of the National Report. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, what you saw there was most of it, but there was one story in that report that I had to pull out. There was a story about agriculture. But to tell you the truth, the audio was so bad, and in some parts, virtually non-existent. So when you were watching the story, you would not be really able to comprehend what the story was all about. So rather than just abandon the full GIS report, I thought just let me remove that story, okay? I'm doing that in the interest of full disclosure. I'm telling you that right now. Okay, we're gone past time. It's 10:05. Here is your inspirational, your parting word. It comes to you from the book of Hebrews, Hebrews chapter 8, 10 to 12. This is the covenant I will establish with the people of Israel after that time, declares the Lord. I will put my laws in their minds and write them on their hearts. I will be their God, and they will be my people. No longer will they teach their neighbor or say to one another, know the Lord, because they will all know me. Okay? From the least of them, hold on a sec here. Yeah. From the least of them to the greatest. For I will forgive their wickedness and will remember their sins no more. That, my dear friends, is a reading from Hebrews chapter 8, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, let's see here. Ryan says, have a restful Grenada Thanksgiving. I think John is also saying, have a relaxing weekend. Folks, thank you very much. Yeah, I'd really like to have some time off tomorrow, please. But I do expect to see you got, boy, let me tell you something. We got some, Sunday morning. I expect that you're going to see the Attorney General's reaction to the sentencing that was handed down to that pedophile. And in addition to that, we're going to be talking a lot about the revolution. You're going to hear voices from the revolution. We've already pre-recorded some of those voices. And in about an hour, I have more people coming in here. And then this afternoon, I have more coming in here. And yeah, we're going to share those with you on Sunday. So please, I intend to caption that piece, could change, but I intend to caption that piece, Revelations of the Revolution. Because, you know, there's been a lot of talk over the last 30-something years. And it seems like every day something new comes up about that revo. So wait and hear what these people have to say. Sunday morning, we should get started with that at about 10:30. My dear friends, on that note, Georgie Porgy is going to hightail it out of here. Yes, he's already had breakfast, so he's not going to go feed his face right now. He's just going to get down to work and get ready for Sunday so that I can have a peaceful day tomorrow. God bless you. See you Sunday.